Hey guys, it's Cory here from EFC Wealth Management with my 5-minute wealth tip on Money Talk. So today I was going to talk a little bit about volatility. That's right, volatility. See, listen, the thing I want you to understand when it comes to retirement planning, and more importantly when it comes to your investments, investing in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, things of that nature, we know that the market is going to go up and go down. We know this. This is a part of the process, right? But what we're trying to figure out is how much volatility do we have in our current portfolio. We look at standard deviation. And the way you can basically understand is imagine this is the highest high and this is the lowest low. The space in between here is that standard deviation. How much risk is involved in that portfolio? If I can make my standard deviation smaller, which means I'm taking less risk, which means there should be less volatility of up and down, then that makes my portfolio less volatile, which in turn could mean that we get less risk in the market, which then in turn means that we could lose less money. Hopefully that makes sense. So what I want you to understand is when we look at your current portfolio, what we're focusing on is reducing your standard deviation, reducing the amount of volatility in your portfolio. Why is this important? Well, let's think about it for a second. Let's say I had $1 million. That $1 million that I have, all of a sudden the market went down by 50%. Guys, 50%. Could you imagine if your whole portfolio, all you had was $1 million and it went down by 50%? That means you're left with $500,000 in that portfolio, a 50% loss. Now, how many of us would be stressed out at this point in time? I would imagine quite a few of you would be a little worried right now, and I'm sure I would be getting a lot of phone calls at this point in time. But here's what I want you to get. By losing that 50% of the portfolio, what would it take for us to get back to break even? So from that $1 million dropping down by 50% brought us to $500,000. What would be the rate of return we need in order to get back to the $1 million? That's right. Most of you are probably sitting there going, Cory, we need 50%. But that's not true because remember, we're working with a smaller amount of money. We're working with $500,000 now, not the $1 million that we started with. So if we took a 50% return, we're only back to about $750,000 at this point. So $750,000 is not quite that $1 million we started with. So we would need 100% return in order to break back to even. Now guys, I don't know about you, but no matter how good I am, the likelihood of us getting 100% return on an annual basis is not going to happen. I wouldn't even sit there and lie to you about this, right? So because it wouldn't happen, we need to do better at reducing our volatility at the very beginning. Listen, Warren Buffett once said the best thing, the number one thing he thinks about is not how to lose money, right? Don't lose money. And they say, what is the number 2 thing you need to do? He said, repeat number 1, don't lose money. Our focus here should be around not losing your money. And if we do that well, then we don't have to make up for what we lost. Now, granted, here's where we're at. There are these things called these black swan events, things that we can't control. I need you to understand that that happens. There's nothing I can do about it. I can do the best we can. But who in the world could have figured out about having a pandemic, right? A worldwide pandemic. There was no way we could have anticipated something like that. So unfortunately, we saw some volatility. We saw markets go up and down. And because of that, the markets don't like uncertainty. I've said this before. And when they don't like uncertainty, guess what? Volatility happens. Here's what we're trying to figure out now. When we look at your portfolio, we are trying to reduce the amount of volatility in your portfolio. By doing that, then we have less risk and less movement up and down, less volatility. This is the focus point and the cornerstone around EFC Wealth Management. As we build out our portfolio, as we use our third-party managers out there, the goal is to reduce the volatility in our portfolio so ultimately we lose less, right? Doesn't mean we're not going to lose anything. We are trying to lose less than the indice that we're tying it to. So if the S&P 500 lost 18%, we're trying to lose less than them or do better than they did when they lost what they lost. Does that make sense? So this is the premise behind EFC Wealth Management, and volatility and standard deviation is the most important part of this. If we can manage that standard deviation, reducing the volatility, then ultimately we're losing less in the money and we don't have to make up what we lost. Okay guys, that's a great understanding, and hopefully it gives you a little bit of insight on how we manage, and more importantly, that standard deviation, how it plays a significant role in your retirement plan. All right, that's Cory Chapman. This is my 5-minute wealth tip. Hopefully you like this. This is going to be the forum we're going to use for a while, where I want to just push stuff out there so you guys get a little bit of education in a short amount of time. All right, guys, look forward to talking to you on the other side. Be well and blessed. Bye-bye.